one driver got his nickname because of his crazy driving style. Another got his because of his unique ability to find stupid ways to crash. These are some of the ways F1 drivers earn their nicknames. And first, we have to talk about the current champion, Max Verstappen, and his nickname, which has become quite famous. I'm talking about Mad Max, of course. You see, Verstappen is known to be one of the most aggressive drivers on the grid, but sometimes he takes it too far, like when he crashed into Sebastian Vettel in China.
Verstappen on the inside of Vettel, they have touched!
Max.
That was inevitable from the moment Verstappen decided to go for it.
Or ran Lando Norris off the track in Mexico.
This is brave from Lando Norris trying to go around the outside. Max Verstappen barges his rival off the road.
This guy is dangerous. I just have to avoid a crash. It's the same as last time, mate.
But Max doesn't just get in trouble for his on-track behaviour, because this dude has quite the mouth on him over the radio, like in 2018 when he got pissed at Esteban Ocon for crashing into him.
What an idiot! What an idiot!
He got so mad, dude was ready to throw down after the race. And in this year's Hungarian Grand Prix, Verstappen gave in to his Mad Max persona a little too much. See, Max is used to winning most of his races, but in the Hungarian GP, some questionable strategy and a late crash with Lewis Hamilton left him just short of the podium. And Max was not happy at all.
No, mate, don't give me that now. You guys give me the strategy, okay? I'm trying to rescue myself. Sake.
Dude was swearing so much, the FIA had to step in and remind him how to act, considering a lot of the youngings look up to him. And I see where they're coming from, but at this point you can't expect anything short of passionate anger from Mad Max. But while Verstappen's controversial alter ego can be backed up by his trophy count, this next driver's nickname is not something to be proud of. You see, Pastor Maldonado was a Formula 1 driver from Venezuela, one of only 3 by the way, who earned an embarrassing nickname due to his terrible performances on the grid. I mean, his rookie season ended with Maldonado scoring just a single point. But what makes it worse is that he was retired from a whopping 7 races, mainly from crashing into other drivers. And some of them were so freaking ridiculous, it makes drivers like Stroll and Mazepin look like superstars. I don't even know how he managed to pull some of these off. And neither did the F1 community, because they started calling him Crash Tour for obvious reasons. But things would only get worse for Maldonado, because with the amount of crashes he found himself in, people swore he was doing it on purpose, like during Monaco 2012, or his infamous crash with Lewis Hamilton in Spain.
Oh, they do touch, and Hamilton goes off into the barriers. Maldonado squeezes through.
And some races, Crash Tour was straight up playing Mario Kart.
Let's see what they do with Maldonado. Clearly isn't Gutierrez's fault.
But this terror on the track wouldn't be around for long, because eventually no team wanted anything to do with him. His career ended with him retiring in 29 out of 96 races, and with those embarrassing stats, it's no wonder he'll be remembered as Crash Tour forever. But not all nicknames are meant to be insults. Some are a sign of respect, like Kimi Raikkonen's, the racing legend who spent 20 years driving for some of the most successful Formula 1 teams of all time. And throughout his career, there was one thing that never changed: his cool, composed, downright demure attitude that led to everyone referring to him as the Iceman. I mean, this is the dude who was caught napping before his first ever race. Literally the most Kimi thing ever. But 2 years later, Kimi showed the world just how ice cold he remained under pressure. Racing from a 7th place start and under intense heat no less, Kimi won his first ever Grand Prix in Malaysia, beating out veteran drivers like Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher. And his team principal, Ron Dennis, famously cried after Raikkonen won the big race.
A little bit of excitement there on the last lap.
He's crying. Ron Dennis is crying. It's official.
But the pinnacle of his career came in 2007, when he was crowned champion of perhaps one of the most competitive seasons in F1 history. I mean, what other year even comes close with the top 3 drivers being separated by only 1 point? And Kimi was still cool as a cucumber. But there's one more story I've got to tell you about the Iceman. You see, 31 laps into the 2009 Malaysian Grand Prix, the race was stopped due to torrential rain, with the drivers getting called back into the pits. And while many drivers stayed race ready in case the session was called back to a start, Kimi took a different, much cooler approach. He was caught donning some shorts and a plain Ferrari t-shirt, digging through the freezer in search of some ice cream. Now, all these ridiculous stories and impressive performances under pressure is why Kimi will go down in history as the Iceman. But on the opposite side of the cool, composed Raikkonen, we have one world champion driver who got his nickname for being an aggressive, dangerous, straight-up menace of a racer who ended up in quite a bit of controversies. And his name was James Hunt. See, James had a win-or-die trying type of attitude when it came to racing, and he also competed in an era where most drivers were focused on fame and glory, rather than their personal safety. But Hunt took things to a whole nother level, both on and off the track, earning himself the nickname of Hunt the Shunt. And I just want to cover a few moments that perfectly summed up this psycho, like in 1977 at Mosport, when a volunteer race marshal attempted to help James out of his car, but instead caught a freaking right hook to his jaw. Or his incredible post-race interviews, especially the one where he asked a fan if he could have a cigarette.
Can you give me a cigarette? Can I grab that cigarette off you? Thanks.
But the most Hunt the Shunt moment of all time came at the 1976 Japanese Grand Prix. See, Hunt and his longtime rival, the great Niki Lauda, were both gunning for the Drivers' Championship. So, heading into the final GP of the season, fans were hyped to see who would come out on top. But once the race finally started, there was a seriously dangerous downpour. And back then, marshals were not known to stop races as often as they do now, even in hazardous weather, so they let the show go on. But only 2 laps into the race, Niki Lauda shockingly drove into the pits to withdraw himself from the GP, boldly stating that my life is worth more than a title. You see, earlier in the season, Lauda had a near fatal crash in Germany, and although it wasn't due to weather conditions, he didn't want to take any risks. But Hunt was not about to let the fear of meeting his maker stop him from winning his first championship. He locked in and drove with everything he had to secure a 3rd place finish, which was barely enough to clinch the world title, as Hunt beat the legendary Lauda by only 1 point. There's actually a great movie about this, which I highly recommend you watch, the 2013 film Rush, which covers the friendship and rivalry between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. It also stars Thor as Hunt the Shunt.
How have you achieved this advantage?
Big balls.
Anyways, back off the track, Hunt has admitted to doing a lot of wild things, like smoking an average of 46 a day and bragging about sleeping with over 5,000 women. But not everyone was a complete psycho back in the day. Some drivers were pretty chill, like Alain Prost, who was known for his rivalry with the all-time great Ayrton Senna. You see, while most drivers around him had a very aggressive racing style, Prost decided to look at it in a different, more analytical and careful way. Because he was known for conserving his tyres excellently and maintaining a steady and comfortable pace on his way to his victories, which he had over 50 of. And when looking back on his career, Prost said, "I always say that my ideal is to get pole with the minimum effort and to win the race at the slowest speed possible." His 200 IQ driving philosophy earned him the nickname of the Professor. And there were many season-defining moments where Prost prevailed due to his strategy and driving style, like in 1989 during the Japanese Grand Prix. You see, Prost and Senna were neck and neck in their championship battle, but the two legends had completely different philosophies when it came to racing. See, Senna was known for his aggressive driving style, finding even the smallest gaps in his opponents, even going so far to say that you're no longer a racing driver if you don't make some risky moves. But Senna just could not find any gaps to pass Prost during the race. He was not going faster than Senna, but was just defending and taking away any opportunities that Senna might have. And on lap 47, Senna risked it all, going for what he thought was a simple overtake, but miscalculating and taking both himself and Prost out of the race, handing the Professor the Drivers' Championship due to Senna's disqualification.
Because I knew that he wanted to win absolutely, and you know the problem with Ayrton, he can't accept that, he can't accept not to win, and he can't accept that somebody resists by an overtaking maneuver.
Over the course of his career, Prost picked up 4 drivers' titles to go along with 51 wins, which is more than enough to put him down as one of the GOATs, and is why as we as F1 fans call him the Professor. But not every nickname was chosen by the fans. Some drivers chose it themselves, like former Red Bull Racing driver Daniel Ricciardo and his nickname, the Honey Badger. You see, many people wondered just where this funny nickname originated from. And Ricciardo recently revealed the truth behind his seemingly random nickname. Turns out his trainer, Stuart Smith, showed him a documentary about honey badgers. And Ricciardo realised that he was a lot like a honey badger, a cuddly little creature on the outside who can instantly turn into a vicious, strong and ferocious monster if you look at him wrong. I see, Daniel Ricciardo, while he was known as one of the most experienced drivers on the grid, his kind and funny personality is what fans really remember him for. And despite his on-track proficiency and successful stint at Red Bull, there's one thing Ricciardo was never able to achieve in the shadows of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. So these were how some of the F1 drivers got their famed nicknames. Now make sure to like and subscribe for the best F1 content out there.